Brother Dawson's going to be reading from the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verses 24 through 37. So let's give Brother Dawson our attention.
Mephibosheth, the grandson of Saul, also came down to meet the king. He had not cared for his feet, or trimmed his mustache, or washed his garments, from the day the king left until the day he returned in peace. When he came to Jerusalem to meet the king said to him, "Why did you not go with me?" Mephibosheth, to this he said, "My lord the king, my servant tricked me. For your servant had said, 'Let me get my donkey saddled so that I may ride on it and go with the king. For your servant is crippled.' But he slandered your servant to my lord the king. However, my lord the king is like an angel of the true God, to do whatever seems good to you. All the household of my father could have been doomed to death by my lord the king, and yet you placed your servant among those eating at your table. So what right do I have to cry out further to the king?" However, the king said to him, "Why keep on speaking like this? I have decided that you and Ziba should share the fields." At this, Mephibosheth said to the king, "Let him take it all. Now that my lord the king has come to his house in peace." Then Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim to the Jordan to escort the king to the Jordan. Barzillai was very old, 80 years of age, and he supplied the king with food while he was staying in Mahanaim, for he was a very wealthy man. So the king said to Barzillai, "Cross over with me, and I will supply you with food in Jerusalem." But Barzillai said to the king, "How many days of my life are left that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am 80 years old today. Can I discern between good and bad? Can I, your servant, taste what I eat and drink? Can I still listen to the voice of a male or female singer? So why should your servant be an added burden to my lord the king? It is enough that your servant could bring the king to the Jordan. Why should the king repay me with this reward? Let your servant return, please, and let me die in my city near the burial place of my father and my mother. But here is your servant, Kimham. Let him cross over with my lord the king, and you may do for him what seems good to you."
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Dawson. Certainly appreciate that. That was your very first student talk in the congregation. You did very, very excellent. So we're pleased. So one of the things you were working on was the council point number 1, which is in our elementary school guidebook, is accurate reading of the scriptures. And one of the unique things about reading accurate of the scripture that has to do with the aspect of the Bible is such an important aspect of our teaching, that it's important that when we read from it, that we appreciate the aspect of being able to read the words accurately. Now, one of the things about reading the words accurately is that it's important because, for example, let's just say if the printed word was Jesus was the Son of God, and we read it that Jesus was not the Son of God, that one word could change the whole context of the meaning of that particular statement. So it's so important that we do that. Now, in your school guidebook, it has this particular information for us. It's on page 83. In the gray box at the very top there, it says, what do you need to do when it comes to the accurate reading of the scriptures? It says very explicitly, it says, read aloud exactly what is printed on the page. Do not skip words, ignore parts of words, or change one word for another. And you certainly did an excellent job of doing that this evening. One of the things I appreciate is that the Hebrew scriptures, you nail those. Those words are not something that we typically use in our everyday language, but it was apparent that you really did practice those particular words and you said them accurately. And our school guidebook has some additional information with respect to that. It's on page 85 in the gray box where it says how to achieve it when it comes to accurate reading of the scriptures. And it says this: practice, 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 and do so out loud. And it was very apparent that you practiced and you read the scriptures out loud because you were comfortable with the material. So we want to thank you very much. This is your first student talk. Look forward to your next council point very soon. We appreciate that. Well, let's move on.